Iran continues to fire drones and missiles toward American assets and allies in the Middle East. A spokesperson for Saudi Arabia's defense ministry said yesterday that the U.S. embassy in Riyadh was struck by drones, causing a fire and damage to the building. This as the United States continued to carry out strikes against targets in Iran yesterday. Mass funerals were held for over 160 children whom Iran claims were killed in a strike on a girls' school during the opening phase of the war. The U.S. says it would not deliberately target a school, and an investigation is underway. Exchanges of fire between Israel and Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon continued as well. Meanwhile, the U.S. military has announced that a sixth service member has been killed in action. Speaking at a Medal of Honor ceremony at the White House yesterday, President Trump said that plans for Iran were ahead of schedule, but suggested that the war could last a month or longer.
We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that.
Translate. You know, David Ignatius, you and I had talked before about the dangers of looking at this as another Venezuela. This is not another Venezuela. This is a regime that's been in power since 1979. They have infrastructure to fight this for quite some time. And their leaders are saying, we're not going to negotiate with you. They're actually, the reports that I'm hearing, and I'd love to get your reports, they're saying this is a war of endurance. They right now, they're sending cheap drones and trying to terrorize and exhaust American allies across the region with these constant attacks, and they're saving their missiles for later. And what you have right now, the Saudis getting hit, the UAE getting hit, allies across the region getting hit. This war now expanding into Lebanon. The idea of a quick, as you said on Saturday, Viking-like strike that the Trump administration was hoping to have here, not happening, and the justification moves. We're going to play Marco Rubio's very strange justification. We had to attack because Israel was going to attack. And then word that J.D. Vance was the one pushing the president to have a far bigger, far more expansive attack into Iran. A lot of cross currents in this story. What is your latest reporting on where this war is and how long this war may last?
So, Joe, this is a longer, wider war than I think anybody expected, in part because the Iranians are not suing for peace. They don't want to talk. The Viking strategy, if that's right, is confounded by pretty stiff resistance and the need to continue the battle. This morning, I received a message from the UAE just describing the situation there. This is a global hub that basically has been shut down. Air traffic in and out has been almost impossible at a time when people are being urged, in some cases ordered, to leave. So there's a lot of confusion, I think, across the Gulf as people reckon with the fact that this could go on for a month. I think the economic impacts of the war are becoming clearer. The Strait of Hormuz has been effectively shut down, so transit of oil out is going to be difficult. Oil facilities in Qatar and Saudi Arabia have been hit. So in all these ways, the length and cost of the war is clearer today than it was 24 hours ago. Also, Joe, as you said, I hear people talking about the somewhat confusing and occasionally contradictory explanations of the war by members of the administration. The Rubio comment that you referenced is the most striking, effectively saying
stunning.
The imminent reason we had to go to war was because Israel was about to strike Iran.
Well, and David, let's count these up right now. We have Marco Rubio saying we had to attack because Israel was going to attack regardless. We've heard they were, a week away or whatever preposterous date was given to it from having nuclear weapons. We've heard, they were about to attack us. All of these excuses have fallen by the wayside. It appears they haven't settled on a justification for this. And the latest is, we had to do it because Israel was going to do it. But again, I want you to talk about how Iran here has, as you predicted, was not going to lay down like Venezuela. Everything they're doing, like you're talking about cutting off oil in the Straits of Hormuz. Why are they doing that? Because they believe that will give them economic leverage over Donald Trump. Everything they're doing is calculated. I guess they've been planning for this attack probably since 1979. And Iran, if you can explain the geography of the country, it is a mountainous, spread out, extraordinarily difficult place to go into. So when Pete Hegseth or other people are talking about the possibility of boots on the ground, they don't know what they're talking about.
So the idea of invading Iran continues to me to seem just hard to imagine. No U.S. commander in his right mind would try to do that. I can imagine special forces operations in various parts. But this is going to be a difficult campaign. We have to remember that the people in charge in Iran see themselves as revolutionaries. And they see the United States, have seen since 1979, as their great adversary. And the war that we've predicted, awaited, feared for 47 years is finally here for real. And Iran is fighting back as hard as you'd think. One concern that I have is the evidence that it's spreading to other Shia areas. The number of deaths of Shias in India and Pakistan who were rioting after the assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei was disturbing. And I know people in various governments are looking at that with concern. But I think the simple point is you start out with wars thinking you have a straightforward objective. Presidents hope wars will be easy. Wars never are. And this one isn't. Changing the nature of this regime, which has caused such havoc and destruction in the Middle East, I think remains a goal that sensible people should think about. The question is at what cost and with what justification from U.S. officials. And those two are still murky.